Hey, it's Danielle and I'm here with another Scraplift Saturday. So I thought I would start off by showing you the inspiration pieces, and both of these are really great, but I did get my inspiration from the shelf on the right. I just like the wire baskets, I like the wood box, I like the group of globes. There was just a lot of things that I really liked about that picture. This is the layout that we are going to be scraplifting today. When me and Megan first saw that we would be doing the video today, we passed around a couple different layouts that we thought would be fun to scraplift, and we both settled on this one. Now, Megan found this layout on the Facebook group called Scrapaholics Anonymous, and I think it'll be fun to scraplift. Now, this is the photo that I'm choosing to scrapbook today. Yes, it's a blurry photo, and yes, the lighting is horrible, but I really like this photo of my daughter, and I kind of think that this looks like a picture that would maybe be on that shelf in the inspiration piece. Just her brown leather sandals and her denim dress, I think just looks like the inspiration piece, so I thought it would be a good photo to use. Since there's going to be a border around my page, I'm just going to take my trimmer and trim about 1/4 of an inch or so off of two sides of my layout. And then I'm going to bring my picture back and also a large tag that I'm going to be journaling on. And I'm just going to get it positioned how I like or how I think it should be on my layout. And then I take this Tim Holtz little poker tool and I poke 4 holes just on the corners of my photo and my tag, just so that I know where they are, because you'll see here I'm going to take this Tim Holtz stencil and use some light molding paste to add some texture to my layout. Now, I don't know what this stencil is called. I think it's called something like burlap. It looks like burlap, and I saw somebody use it in a recent video. I don't remember who it was, but I thought it was so cute, and the last time I was at Michael's I saw it, so I had to pick it up. And I think this burlap fill definitely goes with the inspiration piece this week. Now, I really just like the look of this white on white with the molding paste. The layout that we are scraplifting from has much more, I guess, mixed media on it. I think she used the plastic packaging technique where you kind of smush on the color, and it looks like she did some splatters and things like that. But this is as far as I go with the mixed media portion of this layout, and I really like the look of it. Like I said, I really like the look of that white on white, so I think that it looks nice. And then I'm going to be using this wood grain paper for my border around my layout. Now, this is a piece of Teresa Collins paper, and I really like it, so I'm choosing to take the center out of this so that I can use that on a different layout. And I know that there's some distressing on the edge of the white paper, so I want to make sure that I'm leaving enough space that I won't, that there'll be a good border around my layout. And I'm just making sure everything looks great. Now, while that molding paste dries, I'm going to be working on some of the elements to my layout. Now, I found this quote on Pinterest. What I did when I saw the inspiration piece and I saw those globes, I went to Pinterest and I looked up world quotes, and then I found one that kind of just went with my photo. It says, "Remember, you're the one who can fill the world with sunshine." And according to Pinterest, that's Snow White said that, which I think is just cute for a little girl page. I didn't totally check that. I just trusted it. And now I'm going to take this twine and tie a little bow on the top of my tag. And I'm just trying to pull embellishments and things that kind of have that rustic-y feel that I thought was in that inspiration piece. Now, I wanted to bring some metal into my layout, so I'm using this metal rim tag, and I'm going to take this green chipboard heart and put on that. And then I'm going to map my photo with this yellow polka dot print paper that I absolutely love, and I think that will look really cute. Now, I thought my tag and my journaling looked a tad bit plain, so I took it over to my sewing machine and I just stitched a border around it. I thought that that looked a lot cuter. So now that my molding paste has dried, I can now go and texturize and distress the edges. And I am just using this Tim Holtz distressing tool, and I'm being pretty rough with it. I'm not being careful at all. I really want to rough up the edges. It seemed like in the layout that we're scrap lifting, her edges are pretty distressed. So I did that until I thought it looked good, and now I'm just ripping some of the edges and making those little flaps of paper. And of course, you want this to look random and not well thought out, which is always a hard thing for me to do, but I just had to hope for the best. And now I'm going to take my tiny attacher and just put a couple little staples in each of these little flaps. And I think that the layout that we're scrap lifting had staples on those flaps as well. So to distress these edges a little bit more, I'm just going to just rip some of the paper off. And I didn't want big chunks ripped out, which was a little bit hard to do. You know, when you start ripping that, sometimes a little bit more than you want rips off. So I was trying to make them just be little tears. I thought that this edge needed a little bit more distressing, so I ripped some more off. And I see that one I thought ripped a little bit too deep, but in the end it all looks fine. So I think it looks great. Now to attach my cardstock to that wood grain paper, I'm going to use some of this red line tape, and it's much thicker than I've used in the past. And I'm just going to put a few pieces on this wood grain paper, and then you don't see it, I cut a lot of this out, but I put a lot on the white paper as well so that I can make sure that it sticks good. And you'll see here that I'm just getting everything stuck down and in place. And then once I get that done, I can start putting my layout together. So I pull out all of the things that I kind of worked on earlier, and I start getting them down on my layout. Now I knew that it would be hard to stick things down to where I put that molding paste. So I just concentrated all of my adhesive on the areas that I knew would be sticking just directly to the cardstock, and it seemed to hold just fine. Now I'm positioning everything so that you can still see that texture that I added to my layout. I, of course, want to make sure that you can see that. Now I just need to work on getting my page embellished. And the first thing I do is I layer some doilies behind my photo and behind my journaling. And I'm going to kind of focus on two areas with my embellishments. I'm going to put an embellishment down here in the lower left hand corner, and I'm going to put a group of embellishments in this upper right hand corner. So that is where I layer my doilies. Now I'm going to bring out my metal rimmed tag that I worked on earlier, and then also two circle brads, and these are from Teresa Collins as well. And I picked embellishments that I thought went with the inspiration piece. And when I first saw that inspiration piece, I really liked it, but I didn't know how I was going to use it on a scrapbook page. But once I got going, it really wasn't that hard. And I really like this look of kind of more rusticy embellishments mixed with a little bit more dainty ones. And I just like the way it all turned out, that's the fun part of being in a group like this. I guess I never would have used that inspiration piece to make a layout, so I don't know that I would have mixed all of these things together or made this layout. So it's just fun to kind of challenge yourself creatively and do some techniques you wouldn't normally do and use embellishments you wouldn't normally use. It was a lot of fun for me. So I thought those two brads were a little bit too close together, so I just moved that wood grain up a little bit, and I think that looks great. Now, one of the things I liked about the inspiration piece was the globes, and so I found one in the Silhouette program, and I just cut it out and pieced it all together, and I'm just going to put it down here in this lower left-hand side. I was debating whether I wanted to use some like pop dots to pop it up, but I decide not to, just have it be flat on my on my page. Now, I don't know that you can totally tell, but I thought that it needed a little bit extra, so I went to my sewing machine and I just made a stitch around the border. And at this point, I kind of think that I'm done, so I just get my date put on there. I'm using some Hero Arts ink called Soft Granite, which is kind of my go-to ink right now for putting the date on. But then I don't know, this layout just kind of feels incomplete, especially that upper right hand side. So I find a label. It's sort of a bluish black colored label, and I take this set of Felicity Jane stamps, and there's that one that says beautiful, and I decide that I'm gonna stamp that on the label and then tuck it in behind my photo. Now you'll see here that I'm trying to decide what color of ink I want to use. I get out my little page that has all my ink samples on it, and I pull two out. So I think the Soft Granite would be a good choice, and then I also think a navy would be a good choice. So I take this Color Theory ink called Deja Blue, and I'm just trying to cut this down so I can get an idea of what that will look like. And I think that that looks good, and I'm pretty sure that that's what I'm going to go with, but I just stamped this gray just in case that I like it, but I thought it was much too light, I thought. So I just get this ink back up and I stamp it on that label, and it turns out good the first time, which I have a history of not being a good stamper, so I was excited that I didn't have to find another label to use, that it turned out good the first time. So, and then I just get that tacked down, and then I really do call it good. If you haven't had a chance to check out Megan's video, you definitely should. It's kind of fun to see two different takes on the same layout lift, so definitely check hers out. Also, if you want to see more of my videos, head on over to my YouTube channel. I'm Banning Lane here on YouTube, but I will put a link to that down below. And then, of course, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you all very, very soon. All right, bye-bye, guys.